Good evening, Azeroth, and welcome to episode 131 of the World of Goldcraft. As usual, I'm your host, the Lazy Goldmaker of thelazygoldmaker.com, and we'll be talking about gold making for about 20 minutes, as I do every week. If you're following along live, make sure to post your questions in chat, and I'll answer. I can get to them at the end if you have any. If you don't, then we won't be answering any questions, obviously. And if you're watching this or listening to this after the fact, then do know that you can come check out the show live at Twitch TV/Lazy Goldmaker on Wednesdays at around 2 Central European Summertime. So let's dive into the game. So what's going on with the game right now? Well, if we're talking about retail WoW, there's not much going on with the game. There's the Wrath of the Lich King time walking this week, which will overall not have a huge effect on anything. We might see some cheaper Wrath of the Lich King materials, so you can keep an eye out for those, including frozen orbs and other things that drop from the dungeons that people will be doing more of. So now is definitely a good point to keep your eyes peeled for Lich King materials. Outside of that, there's not much to see or do from that point of view. Outside of that, in retail WoW, there's really not much going on at all. I think a lot of people are definitely feeling the content lull and are starting to get bored and a little bit frustrated even with the game, because there's nothing new to do, and there's just the game systems of Shadowlands, just the same dungeons, just the same raid, the same PvP meta. And things are not going to change for quite a while. In Classic, it's probably a little bit of the same, although TBC launch does seem to be closer than the launch of 9.1. And on the Classic side of the fence, there's definitely a lot of people preparing for the Burning Crusade, getting their alts ready, getting their materials ready. I actually started looking in on my alts just earlier today for the first time in a long time, my classic characters. And just logging in, I kind of felt like playing the classic version of the game a little bit more. So we might do something there. Definitely do a little bit of prep, at least finish my epic mount on my warlock and be ready to level jewel crafting. Those are the main things I'm looking to do there. And outside of that, I won't be like trying to build up a large stockpile, because I'd rather just have fun with gold making on launch, which I think will be a lot of fun. Now, for this week's discussion point, I'm going to talk about, I titled this Getting Out of a Rut. I'm not sure if that's the right title. But the point of this is that for those of you who are following along on my road to 100 million updates, you'll know by now that the going is incredibly slow. I'm still at 25 million, which is higher than I started the expansion with. That's true. But on a week-to-week basis, there's not a lot of progress. There's down weeks and slow weeks, and it definitely feels like, for me, it feels like I've been plateauing for the most part. And that feels kind of bad. So I want to do something. I want to push through faster. So I need to change something up. And I thought I'd talk through my own situation. And my ideas for fixing this. Of course, I had some ideas last night when I wrote the script for this episode. And then I played today and a little bit yesterday, and I already realized that some of my ideas I disagree with them already. But we'll talk through it. Of course, since I also started the NA Zero to Hero series, that's taken up a good chunk of time. And I like to do a little bit of different things in game, so we're not going to spend just the entire stream gold making or leveling alts or whatever. So while I'm doing both series, it's definitely going to be taking a toll on both of them. But there's still stuff I can do better. Now, before I can figure out exactly what I want to do or what I can do to do better, I need to have a clear idea of what am I currently doing. Like what am I doing exactly? And then I can try to pinpoint any areas where I'm doing something wrong, or where there's something that I'm doing that doesn't make sense or can be improved upon. And I've been sticking to the same general routine now for a very long time, in fact, with very few changes. So that means that there's probably something I need to change. My success in Shadowlands, well, I've gone from 1 million to gold cap on Draenor. But the profit margin has been really low, and much lower than my historical profit margin has been. Because I've been chasing sale rate, and I might have been focusing a little too much on volume of gold, since I've mostly been doing base legendaries on my main realm. And on that realm, I have less than a little bit less than 10% in profit margin across all of my purchases and sales. Of course, that includes a good chunk of money or valuable items I have on me at this point in time. Of course, that's part of it. But that's also been the case in the past, where I've calculated my long-term profit margin in the 20 and 30% range. So that's that's where I'm at. Now, what I'm doing right now is that every weekday I go through all of my realms and I repost all of my auctions. I'm on 14 realms. There's one of them where I have max level crafters. It's a very high pop EU realm, and on that realm I'm doing primarily base legendaries with a little bit of the Crafters Mark 168 gear, and a couple of other markets, a little bit of inscription. I've tried a little bit of cooking and alchemy this week, didn't like that much. There's a little bit of Island Expedition gear and some old crafted mounts. On all of my other realms I flip, and right now that's primarily just battle pets, and once again a little bit of Island Expedition, transmog, and some specific old world materials and items. And while this is overall profitable, it's not bringing in gold at a high enough rate to reach 100 million in a reasonable time. Now, when I set this goal, I was coming from a world of multi-realm BOE flipping, which is what I did in BFA and Legion, which was astronomically profitable and a great way, both a great market because it didn't take much time to run a shopping scan. You didn't need too many items, you didn't spend too much time reposting, and you could generate a lot of gold in multiple realms. But in Shadowlands, BOE flipping almost doesn't work. Now, I have been a little bit profitable. I've made some profit in that market. And when I wrote this script, I was planning to do more of it. But I ran some shopping scans today in BOE flipping markets. And there's hardly an item, there's hardly a deal to find. There's lots of items, but they're all priced correctly relative to the rest of the market. So it's just almost impossible to find the right deal and to make money in BOE flipping, sadly. So I need to find some other ways of increasing my daily sales. Ideally, I want to do this without having to spend like loads of extra time every day to keep this market up to date and keep my items on the auction house. Now, what this means is that I'll probably I'm going to veer away from current expansion max level markets. I'm already in base legendaries, which is quite competitive on my main realm. I'm not going to add something like alchemy or cooking, which is also incredibly competitive and requires you to micromanage the auction house. I could do it, but it's not my preference. I don't like it that much to play gold making that way. So I'll have to do something else. But what I will do, I will have to do more. Like there's no substitute for more items on the auction house if you want to make more gold. Either you want more items at the same time or more items over a time period by running more cancel scans. But I do need to find ways to craft more items, run more shopping scans for items to flip, and get those out onto the auction house. Now, I know of a lot of markets already that I have been neglecting in Shadowlands, where there's so many. With most of my professions, I pretty much only focus on the Shadowlands items. And there's a lot of money in cosmetics from old worlds. Like, I have not been keeping my crafted mounts stocked, for instance, at all. I continuously run out of those, and I have multiple Sky Golem crafters, and I have access to crafting a lot of different mounts, and I can also work on getting some more of the crafted recipe mounts, because the ones I'm missing on Draenor are easy to get. So that's one thing I really want to do, because those are items that generate a lot of gold when you sell them. And they don't take a lot of time to craft, because you can craft one and you're not going to sell it every day or every week. So you can just do like a restock session of 15, 20 minutes every other week, and you'll have enough mounts to get consistent sales. So that's a perfect market, and that's where I've started already, keeping those items more in stock. And there are many items similar to this. And another one is obviously going to be various forms of crafted transmog. And I've already started that. I went through my engineering, which is the only one, since almost all my characters on Draenor are new. There's only one that has a lot of old recipes, and that's my warlock. So I went through engineering and crafted a bunch of weapons and belts and stuff. And they're posted for about 450k on the auction house. I think it cost me something in the vicinity of 50 to 100,000 gold in materials. So the potential profit margin is huge. Of course, the expected sale rate is also bottom tier. But if I add enough items like this to other professions, then that's going to help me bring in some sales. So there's a lot of other old world cosmetic items that I used to be in. I used to be in everything when I was doing gold making on One Realm, back on Sylvanas. I was doing a little bit of everything and restocking everything. And that's where I need to get back to on Draenor. We need to have a more diverse portfolio. So I want to add glyphs. I want to add weapon illusion terms that I've never done. We want to do some crafted transmog, but not too many mass markets. I'll probably stick to weapons primarily, and try to focus on like rare recipes. But we'll see. We'll have to do some research on crafted transmog. And there's also some things with like old world materials and the transmutes that you can do. And I also want to farm. I need to farm on my jewel crafter. I need to farm the rep with Order of the Jade Serpent, which I can do, which would get me back into Panther crafting. And that's a rep grind that does not take that much time. So that's also something that I want to do on my Death Knight. And all of these ideas are to increase the value of my posted auctions, while not taking too much time, because I don't want to spend too much time crafting. I'm already in enough very restocking heavy, reposting heavy markets. Doing base legendaries requires me to spend a lot of time on my crafters just crafting intermediate materials. So adding to that with like doing loads of flask crafting or potion crafting is not something I'm interested in. So we want to add markets where I can run like one shopping and crafting session is going to cost me an hour of time, and then that's going to be enough items to sell over the next 3-4 weeks potentially, or even more, since this is generally going to be lower sale rate cosmetic items. Now, obviously, in addition to all of this, there's a max level market that I'm completely missing out on currently. Of course, I'm doing 168 gear, but I only have blacksmithing and jewel crafting at max level on my main account. My tailoring leatherworking is on another account that's not on the same Battle.net. And even though I've asked Blizzard to connect them, which they can, the issue is that means I don't have Crafters Mark II for tailoring and leatherworking. And that's something I really want to get. So I'll just have to speed level or focus a little bit more on leveling my priest as well. And then I can send all of my 168 gear to a separate banker, to my base legendary banker. And just repost that like every 24 hours. Just log in once, clean out the mailbox, repost, get back to cancel scanning in base legendaries. And that's going to give me a little bit more time, a little bit less inventory management, and the potential to to just be a little bit more efficient with my time when I'm reposting as well. Because it's not just about like, that's a little bit of improving my time efficiency in terms of reposting auctions over time and keeping them at the top of the auction house for some of these high value items like base legendaries. So that's going to help out. I'm also doing enchanting and missives. We'll see. I think I'll use those as I do right now. It's something to like fill in the gaps every once in a while. But the main thing is going to be to add a lot more cosmetic markets, a lot more of those, and just to focus more on and to get the tailoring and leatherworking stuff to 168. As for the rest of my realms, I'm not sure what to do at all. And here I will really have to rack my brain and experiment a little bit. Because battle pets work well. I do think they're generating sales. So it's possible I just need to add more battle pets, just keep buying more battle pets at a more regular pace. And that's going to help out quite a bit in terms of generating sales. But I do not think that BOE flipping is worth the time, because it's so rare to find a deal. Yeah, I would much rather run a shopping scan for a set of items where I'm very almost guaranteed to find a deal. So I think that will be my approach, will be to find a group of 10, 20, 30, 40 items, whether these are materials or gear or whatever. Some specific items that I know of that work well for flipping and that can generate a decent volume of gold. Then I can run the shopping scan for that group. It doesn't have to be a group of like items with any sort of similarities at all, but just a set of items that I can profitably flip, and that I can run a shopping scan for relatively quickly, just buy everything that's cheap and repost it. So that's what I'll be gradually building out, like a purpose-built, for me, just to flip on my off realms, a specific group for that. So hopefully that should also help out driving more sales, particularly on a couple of my realms that have been doing very poorly in Shadowlands, with Sylvanas being chief among them, of just almost not generating sales. Where I on that realm, I'm sitting on a huge stockpile of like very low value crafted transmog, at least in terms of expected sale rate. So we'll see, but I think that getting one simple to execute scan rather than just sitting there and be like, which item should I flip, which I often end up doing at the moment, is going to help out a lot, and that's going to help just crystallize my routine on my off realms, to where every day I'm scanning for some kind of deal on every realm. I think that's going to be one of the main things, because many days I just repost my auctions and I don't add any new value, which means that my auction house value just trends downwards as I sell pets, because I sell things every day. So if I don't add new items, then I'll eventually end up at 0 items and I won't be getting any gold. Of course, at that point I'd be rich, or at least a lot richer than I am now. But I still need to continuously invest, because otherwise I'm going to stagnate. My growth isn't going to be there, and I'm not going to make it to 100 million in a reasonable amount of time. Even though we'll still be getting there, it's just going to suck if it takes too long, because I'll be bored out of my mind at the end. So that's my thought process now. That's how I'm planning to tweak my gold making process. And I've realized that I've been focusing probably a little bit too much of my effort on base legendaries, which is not generating enough profit to be worth it, even though it's generating a lot of sales. So I need to add more high profit value or high profit margin markets that are selling slower, which is obviously going to lead to a period of like gold going down and plateauing, but I'm already feel like I'm plateauing, so that's not an issue. So we'll see. It'll be exciting to set this stuff into practice and see how it goes. Putting stuff out into the world, that's the only way to figure out if it works. So we'll be experimenting and seeing how the results stack up, and just seeing if we can push through it. It will take a while, some of this stuff, particularly the crafting stuff I want to do on my main realm. It's not just like something you flip your fingers and it's done. But just to start working on it is going to help out a lot, and then we'll slowly get there, slowly start building up our auction house value even more, and not keep it at the exact level it's been, because I haven't really changed my approach on my main realm at all. But it's time, and hopefully it'll lead to some great results. So that's it for the episode. We did not get any questions in chat, so Twitch chat next time, come on, give me something to answer. But yeah, that is going to be it. We'll see you on the next episode. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you leave a like or a comment on the YouTube video. Come by the blog and leave a like or a comment there, or just share it with your friends. I appreciate all the support I get. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a profitable week, guys.